Welcome everyone. We're going to continue our reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam today. Where are we?
Canto 4, Chapter 28, Text 45.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Just having some Gita Nagari milk. Got my Gita Valley t-shirt, remembering the cows.
Lucky
you. Totally blessed. Fortunate.
Yes. Text 45. The daughter of King Vidarbha continued as usual to serve her husband, who was seated in a steady posture, until she could ascertain that he had passed away from the body. Purport. It appears that the queen did not even talk to her husband while serving. She would simply perform her prescribed duties without talk. Thus she did not stop rendering service until she could ascertain that her husband had passed from the body. Jeepers. I guess that's what happens if you don't talk to each other and you just don't know. It will never happen in this relationship, I assure you that, because you don't start talking.
Next verse. Text 46. While she was serving her husband by massaging his legs, she could feel that his feet were no longer warm.
Oh dear.
And could thus understand that he had already passed from the body. She felt great anxiety upon being left alone. Bereft of her husband's company, she felt exactly as the deer feels upon being separated from its mate. Purport. As soon as the circulation of blood and air within the body stops, it is to be understood that the soul within the body has left. The stoppage of the blood circulation is perceived when the hands and feet lose heat. One tests whether a body is alive or not by feeling the heart's palpitations and the coldness of the feet and hands. Well, I must be dead a lot of the time because I often have cold feet, especially in the cold weather.
No, because you keep talking all the time, we know you're not.
So, like that, we can see that she was very dedicated to serving her husband, who was a great soul, as we were hearing before. She was massaging his legs, basically looking after him, taking care of him, doing menial service. But of course, menial service, when we hear about the devotees who used to serve Srila Prabhupada, Hari Sari Prabhu, Shrutakirti Prabhu, different devotees like that, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and they would massage Prabhupada, and it's such intimate, special service. So she was feeling alone. She felt great anxiety upon being left alone, bereft of her husband's company. She felt exactly as the deer feels upon being separated from its mate. Yeah, so it's quite to lose a partner. If any of you out there have had that experience, to lose a partner is, very agonizing. We know losing a parent is very intense. Losing a brother or sister, just experiencing someone leaving this world is quite an intense thing. We start to realize all the philosophy in the world, but still that heart and the attachments of the heart are very, very profound.
Text 47. Being now alone and a widow in that forest, the daughter of Vidarbha began to lament, incessantly shedding tears which soaked her breasts and crying very loudly. Purport. Figuratively, the queen is supposed to be the disciple of the king. Thus, when the mortal body of the spiritual master expires, his disciples should cry exactly as the queen cries when the king leaves his body. However, The disciple and spiritual master are never separated because the spiritual master always keeps company with the disciple as long as the disciple follows strictly the instructions of the spiritual master. This is called the association of Vani, words. Physical presence is called Vapu. As long as the spiritual master is physically present, the disciple should serve the physical body of the spiritual master. And when the spiritual master is no longer physically existing, the disciple should serve the instructions of the spiritual master. Very nice. Very nice meditation, actually. As this week is the appearance day on Friday of Bhaktivedanta Swami Thakur as a spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. So I was reading this, I was thinking that Srila Prabhupada is thinking of his own guru and how he's never separated from his spiritual master. And even there's a very intense class where Prabhupada's crying and he's saying that you're all representatives of my spiritual master. He's talking to his disciples, men and women. And to be fair, I don't think we can fault Srila Prabhupada or doubt Prabhupada actually had any lack of chastity, as it were, with regards to serving the instructions of his spiritual master in terms of what he did and the comfort zone that he left to come to New York in this horrible cold weather. It's so cold. And what he did. So this purport really reminds me of Prabhupada, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end, the principle, these two words, Vani and Vapu. Vani means the instruction, Vapu means personal form. And, of course, Prabhupada says, while the spiritual master is alive, you should serve the physical form, but when he passes, then you should follow his instructions. That doesn't mean that when he's alive, you don't need to follow his instructions either. And also, it could be that when he passes, he may leave some paraphernalia behind, and you can serve that, and that could be considered non-different from the sort of body of the Lord. But the principle is that if you have the opportunity and you can serve the physical form of the spiritual master while he is personally present, then that should be done. Actually, I remember asking my spiritual master once that, when you come to town, you often, we were in London, you're often at the manor, and, we have book distribution, we have service, and so many things going on. And, should I come out to be there for the classes and everything and be personally present, or should I hear the classes later, because I've understood Vani is more important than Vapu, and he basically said, yes, that's true, but whenever I'm here, you should always come personally and try to be there present. So anyway, the point is like that, but it's not that we don't follow the instructions of the spiritual master until he passes away, kind of thing. Just in case someone might have thought that. Text 48, O best of kings, please get up. Get up. Just see this world surrounded by water and infested with rogues and so-called kings. This world is very much afraid, and it is your duty to protect her. Purport. Whenever an acharya comes following the superior orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his representative, he establishes the principles of religion as enunciated in the Bhagavad Gita. Religion means abiding by the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Religious principles begin from the time one surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is the acharya's duty to spread a bona fide religious system and induce everyone to bow down before the Supreme Lord. One executes the religious principles by rendering devotional service, specifically the 9 items like hearing, chanting, and remembering. Unfortunately, when the acharya disappears, rogues and non-devotees take advantage and immediately begin to introduce unauthorized principles in the name of so-called swamis, yogis, philanthropists, welfare workers, and so on. I'm going to read that again. Unfortunately, when the acharya disappears, rogues and non-devotees take advantage and immediately begin to introduce unauthorized principles in the name of so-called swamis, yogis, philanthropists, welfare workers, and so on. Actually, human life is meant for executing the orders of the Supreme Lord, and this is stated in the Bhagavad Gita 9:34. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam aveshaisi sat yuktvevam atmanam mat parayanaha. That's repeated twice in the Gita, and the last 2 lines are different. Engage your mind always in thinking of me and become my devotee. Offer obeisances and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So interesting. So I think this is Vaidarbhi speaking to her husband and saying, get up, please, just see this world. Basically, just in emotion, just really calling out to him. And then Prabhupada pointing out in the purport that, when the acharya disappears, rogues and non-devotees take advantage and immediately begin to introduce unauthorized principles. So as I was reading that, I was also remembering Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and when he left, how even some of his own disciples, they didn't follow his instruction, and they wanted to take the prominent post or position as the acharya of the Gaudiya Math. And Prabhupada would often comment that this was not what the spiritual master wanted. And so, in that way, it's we have to remember following the orders of the spiritual master, especially after they depart from this world. Actually, human life is meant for executing the orders of the Supreme Lord. And then Prabhupada quotes the famous 934 of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is encouraging all of us to engage our minds always in trying to think of him. A gentleman came the other day to the Bhakti Center. He was there for the Sunday Bhagavat Shravan program, and he's actually a Jewish rabbi, but he's not orthodox. He's kind of very contemporary. So he was saying that he was quite interested in India. His father, who is not a practicing Jewish person, had spent a lot of time in India. So he said, I'm very interested by this phrase that you mentioned, Krishna consciousness. What does that mean? And so I was just saying to him, well, it means we have to become conscious of Krishna. And what does that look like? What does that mean? It means that we start to see Krishna's hand in everything. So this is the whole idea. Engage your mind in always thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances, and worship me. And then Krishna confirms that if we become absorbed in him, then we will return to be with him. So like that. Nice.
Next paragraph. The main business of human society is to think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead at all times, to become his devotees, to worship the Supreme Lord, and to bow down before him. The Acharya, the authorized representative of the Supreme Lord, establishes these principles. But when he disappears, things once again become disordered. The perfect disciples of the Acharya try to relieve the situation by sincerely following the instructions of the spiritual master. At the present moment, practically the entire world is afraid of rogues and non-devotees. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement is started to save the world from irreligious principles. Everyone should cooperate with this movement in order to bring about actual peace and happiness in the world. So the main business of human society is to simply think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead at all times, become his devotee, worship the Supreme Lord, and to bow down before him. That's it.
I'm not sure that most of the world realizes that's their main business. So many people are doing so many other businesses, and everyone's telling you to mind your business. Imagine, oh yeah, you're right. Thank you for reminding me of my business is to remember Krishna and become Krishna conscious and serve Krishna and serve his devotees. That's not necessarily what's going to happen. But I really like the last part where Prabhupada clearly defines that this Krishna conscious movement is started to save the world from irreligious principles. And then he encourages everyone should cooperate with this movement in order to bring about an actual peace and happiness in the world. I was thinking this is a great plug, catch line for the 60th anniversary of ISKCON, for this year. So this is why this movement was started. So very powerful, very important. Hare Krishna.
I'll just finish what I was saying though.
Oh, I thought
before I was interjected.
Yeah, because you said that's it.
No.
You watch back. No. You say that's it, and I waited, and you didn't say anything.
That's it means that is the main business of a human society.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
It's all right. Let me speak. So, the point I was going to make is that everyone is doing this, but they're doing it, as Prabhupada says, in a perverted way, because everyone wants everyone to think of them at all times, worship them, awe and reverence. Like we just saw some clips of the it was so weird, but anyway, we saw clips of the Grammys. They just look so crazy, what they were wearing or not wearing and how they were behaving. But then I thought, because they want to be thought about, because they want to be worshipped and seen and glorified. That's why you do it. And so that's why you act crazy and you dress crazy, because you got to go outside of the norm or what was the fashion last year or even 6 months ago, because I need to be seen and I need to be worshipped. And the next day, for sure, these people, as well as their PR departments and social media people, are looking how many papers covered my this client, how many social media, Instagram, Facebook, how many people are talking about them, who's calling them for interviews, who's did I get a movie deal out of that, or some record company picked me up. So actually that's the thing, it's like Prabhupada's trying to turn, it's like something that's fallen over and we accept that that's the way it's supposed to be, and Prabhupada's trying to turn it the right way.
Yeah. Nice.
In England, there's a place, those of you in England know, there's a place called Brighton Beach. It's very well known. So if you walk along the pavilion, you walk along the water, there's some houses, I don't know why, but anyway, maybe some of you can tell me, they're upside down. They're like actually literally the roof would be like that, that's that, and it's like sitting like that, and they're at they're upside down. It's tiny houses, I don't mean big ones, but you can go in them if they were the right way round. So they're not tiny like that, big. So I was just thinking, it looks silly and it looks whatever, stands out, like why is it like that? But it's almost like people, like that's the material world to someone like Prabhupada whose eyes are opened, and it's like, listen, you guys, the house is not supposed to be upside down. Let me just turn it the right way around for you. There you go, and that makes sense. But we're like, leave it, wait da. So for someone whose eyes are open, the torchlight of knowledge, it must have been such a thing for Prabhupada, as we see in his diaries, where he's like, people are just crazy and they just, mode of passion and ignorance and this and that. And they just want to be Krishna. Just want to be God. That's it.
But
for real.
That's it. Like, you mean that's it? That's the end of your commentary?
That's the end of everything, yeah.
That's the end of everything. Okay. See y'all later. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai. 60th anniversary of ISKCON ki jai.
Yeah.